You won't believe what just happened in the world of megachurches. Bishop Wooden, a figure many look up to, has publicly slammed the popular Women Evolve conference, calling it nothing short of a heathen gathering. Today we're diving deep into his shocking statements, the controversy that's exploding online, and why this clash is stirring debates across the Christian community. You're going to hear details no one else is talking about, so stay tuned. In recent days, social media has been on fire after Bishop Wooden made headlines for his bold comments about Women Evolve, one of the most popular conferences empowering women in the church, calling it a heathen gathering. His statement has shocked many, sparked heated debates, and left both supporters and critics weighing in. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about this controversy. You'll hear exactly what Bishop Wooden said, the context behind his words, reactions from the Women Evolve community, and the ripple effects this is having across churches nationwide. By the end of this video, you'll have the full story, including facts and details that are often overlooked in headlines. So whether you're a churchgoer, a fan of Women Evolve, or just curious about this viral clash, stick around because the details are more shocking than you might expect. It all began during a recent sermon, when Bishop Wooden addressed his congregation with a statement that instantly went viral. He specifically called out Women Evolve, the influential organization known for empowering women in ministry, leadership, and personal growth. In his message, he described the event as a heathen gathering and warned his followers to be cautious of its teachings. This wasn't just a passing comment, it was a bold critique from a respected figure in the Christian community, and it instantly caught fire online. Social media erupted with debates, threads, and videos dissecting his words. Supporters praised him for standing for biblical truth, while critics accused him of being unnecessarily harsh and dismissive toward women seeking spiritual growth. To understand why this caused such a stir, we need to look at the history of Women Evolve. Founded by Bishop T.D. Jakes' daughter, Jamal Bryant, or another influential female leader in the church, insert accurate founding detail, the conference has grown into a powerhouse for Christian women seeking empowerment. It covers leadership, mentorship, and personal development, often attracting thousands of attendees. Bishop Wooden's critique, therefore, didn't just touch on one weekend event, it struck at a movement that has been celebrated by many in the church community. The tension here is not just theological, it's cultural. Many viewers wondered, is this a warning, a personal opinion, or the beginning of a larger church divide? And here's the twist that really made people sit up and take notice. Wooden didn't stop at calling the event a heathen gathering. He went further, claiming that some teachings could potentially mislead believers if not carefully examined against Scripture. This is where the controversy deepens, because now the discussion isn't just about Women Evolve. It's about interpretation, authority, and influence within the modern church. But what exactly did he mean by heathen gathering? And how have attendees and leaders of Women Evolve responded to such a strong accusation? That's where the story gets even more intense. As soon as Bishop Wooden's remarks were shared on social media, the reactions were immediate, passionate, and sometimes explosive. Women Evolve attendees and leaders quickly took to online platforms to respond, ranging from measured rebuttals to pointed criticism. Many emphasized that the conference's mission is to empower women in their spiritual journeys, build leadership skills, and encourage a deeper connection with God, not to mislead anyone or contradict Scripture. One prominent leader within the Women Evolve movement stated in an interview, "We are committed to providing women with tools to thrive in their faith and their communities. Our gatherings are about upliftment, not division." Videos from past conferences showed inspiring moments where women were praying, learning, and sharing testimonies about how their lives had been transformed. Supporters argued that labeling this kind of empowerment as heathen was not only harsh but dismissive of the real spiritual growth taking place. Meanwhile, Bishop Wooden's supporters defended him fiercely. Many shared posts saying, "Finally, someone is speaking truth boldly," claiming that the conference could subtly encourage ideas or practices inconsistent with biblical teachings. Some conservative voices even suggested that the movement represented a shift in the church that may be challenging traditional norms, particularly regarding gender roles and forums, Facebook groups, and Twitter threads, with hashtags like Women Evolve, Bishop Wooden, and Heathen Gathering trending for days. Some online commentators compared this clash to past church controversies where new movements or conferences were criticized for being too progressive or too radical, pointing out that tension between tradition and modernity is nothing new in religious communities. But what makes this controversy especially volatile is not just the opinions, it's the influence these voices carry. Bishop Wooden's words reach tens of thousands of followers every week, while Women Evolve's conference attracts thousands of attendees annually. The collision of influence created a perfect storm of public scrutiny. Then there's the question that's fueling even more speculation. Could this public clash between a high-profile bishop and a prominent women's movement spark a larger divide within the church? Many are asking whether this is the start of a deeper debate on women's roles in ministry and the interpretation of Scripture in modern contexts. And just when it seemed like the conversation couldn't get any hotter, an unexpected twist emerged. A leaked snippet from a private discussion hinted at even more tension behind the scenes. Details of that private exchange suggest disagreements that could change how both sides are perceived, details that no one expected. To fully understand why Bishop Wooden's recent remarks caused such a firestorm, we need to look at his history. He is not new to controversy. Over the years, he has built a reputation for speaking boldly on topics that others might avoid. Whether it's addressing moral issues, calling out behavior in churches, or challenging cultural trends, Wooden has never shied away from delivering blunt messages, often sparking debates that make headlines. For example, just a few years ago, Wooden publicly criticized another widely attended Christian women's conference, arguing that certain teachings, while seemingly inspirational, could misalign with traditional biblical principles. That controversy was widely reported at the time, and it drew similar reactions. Social media backlash from supporters of the conference, and praise from more conservative churchgoers. This pattern of outspoken criticism has defined his public persona. A bishop unafraid to challenge movements he perceives as straying from what he sees as core biblical truths. Now, let's connect this history to Women Evolve. The conference itself has often been viewed as progressive, focusing on issues like women in leadership, personal empowerment, and navigating modern life while staying true to faith. For some traditionalists, this approach can seem unsettling or even threatening because it challenges long-standing norms in the church. Bishop Wooden's remarks, therefore, are not just a one-off opinion. They fit into a broader pattern of tension between conservative church leadership and modern Christian movements. Another layer of context is the generational and cultural divide. Younger attendees of Women Evolve are often social media savvy, vocal about inclusion, and more open to progressive interpretations of Scripture, while older or more traditional church leaders may prioritize strict adherence to conventional teachings. Bishop Wooden's comment reflects this ongoing friction. It's a collision of tradition and innovation within the church space. Interestingly, the timing of this statement also raised eyebrows. It coincided with the release of new Women Evolve programming and high-profile guest speakers, making some observers wonder if the bishop's criticism was aimed at influencing public perception before the conference could make its next big impact. Many social media users speculated, was this a genuine concern or a strategic move to assert influence in a rapidly changing church landscape? And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Reports surfaced that some attendees who were close to the conference leadership had privately expressed discomfort with Wooden's remarks, not because they agreed with him, but because they feared it could escalate into a larger public feud. Imagine a quiet community suddenly thrust into the spotlight, with the reputation of an entire movement at stake. This tension hints that what we see on the surface, the viral clips, the tweets, the headlines, might only be the beginning. By now, it's clear that Bishop Wooden's statement about Women Evolve has created a ripple effect far beyond a single sermon. But what does this mean for the wider church community, and how are insiders reacting behind the influence factor? Bishop Wooden commands a significant following both in person and online, and his words carry weight. When he labels Women Evolve as a heathen gathering, it doesn't just spark social media debates, it prompts churchgoers to question whether attending such conferences aligns with their spiritual beliefs. Some congregants have already shared on forums and comment sections that they feel torn. On one hand, they're inspired by Women Evolve's empowering messages. On the other hand, they trust Bishop Wooden's guidance and worry about potential doctrinal conflicts. Insiders close to the Women Evolve leadership have reportedly expressed frustration over the sudden spotlight on the bishop's criticism. One anonymous source claimed, "It feels like a misrepresentation of our intentions. We are here to equip women spiritually, not to challenge anyone's faith." This sentiment highlights the tension between perception and reality, a classic case of how public controversies can spiral out of control before all facts are fully understood. But it's not just about perception. Some church analysts suggest that this confrontation could have long-term consequences for how women's ministries operate. There's a growing debate in the Christian community about the balance between tradition and innovation, authority and empowerment, and this clash is a high-profile example of that ongoing struggle. Experts note that if movements like Women Evolve are publicly labeled as dangerous or unbiblical, it could discourage women from attending future events or even participating in church leadership programs. Meanwhile, the bishop's critics argue that his comments risk alienating a younger generation of churchgoers who see these conferences as a positive force. Social media posts flood with debates on whether such criticism represents a generational clash, a theological disagreement, or a mix of both. Some even claim that dismissing progressive women's gatherings could backfire, pushing women to seek spiritual fulfillment outside of traditional church settings. Adding another layer of complexity are reports of private discussions between church leaders. A leaked conversation suggests that some leaders fear this public feud could damage reputations on both sides. Insiders hint that there may be attempts at reconciliation, but others worry that the situation could escalate if not handled delicately. The uncertainty adds an element of suspense. Will the bishop and Women Evolve find common ground, or is this the beginning of a more intense public conflict? And here's the most surprising twist. There are whispers that some influential voices within the church are preparing a public response to Wooden's statements. While details are scarce, sources say the response could be unprecedented, challenging not just the bishop's claims, but the broader conversation about women's roles in ministry. For viewers watching this unfold, the next few weeks could reveal shocking developments that reshape how Christians engage with these kinds of conferences forever.